We'll have a Q&A session, so please do stay.
This one. Okay, hello. I don't know where I stay for the microphone here, maybe. Yeah. And so good evening. Thanks to coming to the screening. This screening, it's documentary. It's not narration documentary, but just documentary. You talk about Southeast Asian cinema, as the title is. And we're traveling in 4 countries. We talk later, but I choose these 4 countries because they are the more active countries in Southeast Asia about cinema. And I choose these 4 directors because it's more international directors, and they open a lot the way for the Southeast Asian cinema. So for me, it was really important to talk about them, to give the possibility to all the other people that don't know about Southeast Asian cinema to see what happened here. It's difficult to make a documentary about Southeast Asia because Southeast Asian cinema is full of new filmmakers in this period. In the last 5 years, is a lot of new filmmaking coming out. But I think if you put a lot of filmmakers, you can confuse the people that don't know about this one. So consider this one like an introduction for the people that don't know, but also it's these 4 directors really changed the world cinema. They give inspiration to the Hollywood cinema, to the European cinema. They took from there, they find their language, and then they give inspiration again to the world cinema. So watch the film and we talk later, and thanks for coming.
Thanks, Leonardo. Back of how many years of Singapore International Film Festival films? Because as I was saying before, that's where many of us saw, the films of the countries around us, Garin, Nugroho, from like 20-odd years back till now. So the question for you to start off everything is, first, what were the first few Southeast Asian films that you ever encountered, and then what led to making this documentary?
Yeah, it's starting because I start to see the Southeast Asian cinema coming in the Western country, like in Berlin, in Cannes Film Festival, and I start to win very big prize. I will see Brillante Mendoza and Eric in Cannes, and all of them, and many others, more new filmmakers and others. And this take my attention, and I say, because I started before because I was before in 2010 in South Korea, because that's what happened in South Korea also, is this wave of Korean cinema, and all these films from Korea, from Southeast Asia, is coming in the Western country and then disappear. And all of us, they don't know anything about this country. What is the history? This is very important to know the history, what kind of society and religion, where the director coming from, how was their point of view, where it's coming from, and why this movie it's nice and coming with a prize and show a different point of life. And for me, this was important to come back to meet the director, come back and to know much more of the history of these countries, and register, make a documentary. I think this is very important for me to capture this history, because this is really history of films, and this history of cinema that's never disappear. This is not commercial film. Commercial film disappear in few months, and they don't leave nothing. This kind of directors, this kind of cinema is who changed the world cinema. Many inspiration, many American director or European director take inspiration from this director and the past directors coming. And this is really important to come back and show why this kind of cinema happened to be worldwide, or worldwide view, and this is really important. That's why I'm coming here and capture with this documentary all these things, this history, but this is happened not from my eyes, but it was from the eyes of the directors. This is what's very important. I make the process in that process. The directors looked at the reality, and from the reality they created their point of view and they make fiction. For me, I coming from the fiction and then come back to the reality. This is really, really important for me to do this process, in that process, through the eyes of these directors.
I have to say that for me, I found that the way you captured the cityscapes was very filmic. The music was beautiful. It was the world of cinema. It felt like as you're going to city, you had shots that made you feel like something's gonna happen next. you know, it was like, could it be a start to another new film? And I really appreciated that. And I think, you know, certainly for myself, I think watching a film like this, you discover that much more about these filmmakers. Was there anything in particular that, you know, after you would have seen the films even before you meet the director, and then finally by featuring them in a documentary like this, were there anything that any one of those directors said that took you by surprise?
Well, a surprise was more about their cinema, and the surprise is for me was because I'm coming from Italy and I watched the movie before all of them, and when I came here was for me the surprise how the reality is really connected with what I saw in the movie, and then I feel inside the movie, and it was really nice. When I travel in or each country, it was really nice because I show, when I was editing the documentary, I start to editing, I show some people in the Philippines and in Thailand, and some of them, they don't recognize the country, say, where we are, in Indonesia, because it's really similar. That's the beautiful things. It's really similar, in the same time it's really different. But that's why from the passage from one country to the other country, you don't have to understand where you are. That's my feeling, the passage. And also the people talk. You don't have to know who is these people. It's nice to see different language, you know, because we have different language. And this is nice, because Southeast Asia is this one. It's contrast, how we say in the end, Garin, you know, it's the paradox of contrast. That is true, it's this one.
We have questions from the audience?
The choice of the title?
Yeah. The choice of the title, it's because when the rooster crows, we think a lot of this title, and was focused on that. There is two motivations. The first is the voice of this director. The voice or the sunrise of the voice of this director is coming worldwide, and this is the symbolic way. The other things is the sound. In Southeast Asia, the sound of the rooster is everywhere. If you watch of the movie,
except Singapore.
Yeah, in the past I think Singapore was the same. Yeah, and
some of the older states you could hear it. Some people.
Yeah. And so I think this is very important. The feeling of the sound of where you are. So that's the two meanings of the title. Yeah.
Questions?
So I see that you were trying to capture the history of Southeast Asian cinema, but what else did you try to capture? What did you try to communicate to the younger generations of filmmakers in Southeast Asia?
I think for the young generation of filmmakers, you say, many people ask me why you choose 4 directors. It's very difficult to choose 4 directors in Southeast Asia because there's huge and a lot new filmmakers coming out. And for me, this is an introduction of Southeast Asia. It's really an introduction to give to understand which director opened the window to the world cinema. And so I think it's really important to understand from their world, because they're coming from a really, really bad period. You think they come in 1960 and they start to fighting all the problem of censorship, and the government was very dictatorship in that period. The censorship was really, really strong. And you see the courage of them. Khoo here, Garin in Indonesia. Brillante Mendoza is new, but he created a new language. Also, he created a lot of problem with the censorship. Also, the government, they push a lot. And also, this is really important because what they talked before, there is this kind of self-censorship, you know, be afraid, and know it's there, but you can, like Khoo say, we can discuss, we talk with the office. What we can do, you call the office of censorship, and you can talk and manage how to do, no? And this is really important. Garin, go there and say, your system is wrong, I don't like it. He risked the life. Garin risked life all the time. He laughed a lot. They say, you're crazy, you're risking the life. What are you doing? And there is not an answer to that one, because they going through the emotion, and then they say, we have to tell these things. And where we are now is thanks to them, you know. But we have a lot of, they have a lot of work to do also still, no, because the situation is not really clear still. And this is very important for the new filmmaker, no? How can be the direction? Be polite, or try to push a little bit, but in a nice way. Push means try the way to go on, to open more the possibility of tell stories. This is really important. So I think this is important. Yeah.
Regarding the censorship, all four directors are faces the same kind of censorship. Do you feel that is a characteristic of the Southeast Asian movie, or?
I find that I study a little bit before, I make research, and then I talk with the people, and then I discover, yeah, censorship was in the past, but still now. It's still now in each country. And this is still a problem. But in the same way, we have to see this is developed country. Some of the countries, really developed country. And this is still, the government, you see Thailand have the problem this year. Now Indonesia, the new president, there is a lot of hopes for the new president. Change. And this change, I think, brings new wave. I don't know if it's going better or can be bad, but we can see it's true. This is create a problem of creativity, because you stop the creativity and the industry of cinema, of art. And I think it's important, like them, I think to show this one is important because you have an example, and it's the only way to give example, to give the possibility to see movie or art to the new generation. I will say, to show it's possible, no? Like, it's nice that Khoo say, the angry filmmaker, everyone is angry, but you see Iran, the movie, you say the separation. Separation is a case. Iran the censorship is worse, but the separation is coming out, so there is possibility to come out. China also, there is a way, but you have to find, you have to want, you need to want this kind of way to come out, this is really important.
Question. I mean, a lot of these, actually all of these filmmakers, they sort of got, their careers were really launched because they were noticed at foreign international film festivals. And then they sort of come back to the country and people are curious. And that's the recurring story from all the countries, right, in Southeast Asia cinema, particularly for art films. Do you feel that, I mean, some of them alluded to it, but this idea of, it's art house cinema versus commercial films, that this idea that it's not so much a rejection, a choice of are you for going for box office at the same, or do you choose that, okay, maybe the people in your home country don't really watch your films? Do you feel that there's still a lot of frustration with them?
But there is no frustration for these directors who choose independent. There is no frustration. It's like you choose a way of life, and yeah, this is incredible because this is happened here, it's happened in Europe, it's happened in America, everywhere. Commercial movie is in the theater. Independent movie is not in the theater. The people, the audience, the 90% want to go to the theater to have entertainment and don't think, because the life have a lot of problem and they don't want to come in a place where they show other problems. This is the base of everything, and it's a common thing, because really these directors have really problem with the distribution in their country. I went with Brillante Mendoza. I was in his office, and he won Cannes. Now he's considered one of the best directors in Asia. Nobody want to distribute him. You have a lot of problem with the distribution, and so it's not important if you're famous or not. But this is the life of the independent cinema. In Philippines start, because the critic film, they start to say independent films start to be really like entertainment in the same level, but it's quite complicated. But the complicate is I think the match with the audience and the education. It's incredible. Still now in the school they don't teach cinema history. There is theater, but no cinema history. And this is, how can the people come out and they say, I want to see a movie of something in the past? They don't have the culture. This is the real problem. If we put in the school, you study history of cinema, so when you sit in the theater, you have a completely another consideration of film. So I think this is the word problem.
One last question I had was, based on your knowledge and all your research and taking the 3 years that you spent making this film, do you feel that there's more of a inflow of Southeast Asian cinema going not just around the region but throughout the world, or do you think that this region has a potential of making even more quality films from both the independent side and the commercial side?
I think now in the future is going much better. I think because now there is many festivals they promote and help to promote the Southeast Asian cinema. Like first is Busan. Busan every year have fund for Southeast Asia. They have a lot of films. This is important because Busan is one of the best festivals in Asia. But the other side there is Berlin. Berlin 3 or 4 years ago they opened to the Southeast Asia. So they have in this talent campus is dedicated to the new filmmaker. They open to the Southeast Asia, and many movies start to go to Southeast Asia, and this is important because this is open for the Western country to the Asian country the possibility of really new filmmaker to make a movie. The distribution is really difficult. It's really difficult everywhere. I told you this director is famous and they have problem with distribution. I'm from Italy, and the Asian film in Italy we have in a year 1 or maybe 2, no more. So nobody know about Asian film. France much more because very connected. They are co-production a lot. Germany a little bit, and UK a little bit. So it's complicated, but I think slowly it needs time. But it start. That is important. It start, and this is a positive thing.
Actually, in the film, Panic, there was that section where they mentioned that he was making a documentary about democracy in Thailand, and I read that I don't know whether the decision changed, that he made a decision not to show the film, because usually all his films would premiere, like globally premiere at an international film festival, but he chose not to show that documentary abroad because he's concerned that the impression will be like, it was foreign influence, you're making it for other people to criticize Thailand. Well, it was curious because it kind of touched on it, and then you can't see any shots.
Yeah. Because I asked, give me some footage of the. They say no, I don't want. It's coming out from Thailand because it's very complicated in Thailand, and then he say I need to. He want to make the second one. And this is nice because he starts to produce now, and so maybe next year coming out. And for his it's very important because I think this is a situation of our government inside, and then for the people. And I want this touch the Thai people. It's not important for the worldwide. This is something that have to happen inside our country, and this is nice. It's nice because you can see the intelligence of the director is saying, I don't want to go worldwide and show my country and the mess of my country or the democracy and the contrast of today. He doesn't care. He really wants to talk with the people. And this is the independent cinema, no? You're really going directly to the people. And this is important way to talk. Yeah.
One more question from the floor. I mean, as I was watching this, I was hoping if you do release this on DVD, it's not okay to talk about DVDs, but almost in a box set, so you get to see the highlights, the entire feature film of some of the directors. Have you been traveling with this documentary to various film festivals? How has the reception been, within Asia and then also in Europe?
So the documentary just was premiered in October, so it's really new. I was in Busan and now here for the second screening. Now it's going Laos, and we're waiting for the answer for the European festival. And so we'll see, because I'm curious of the European audience. What is the reaction? Because I don't know how say if they know really about Southeast Asian and if they are curious or not. Yeah. So I don't know yet. Yeah.
Well, I think it's been an education for us, and I'm sure world over as well. So thank you very much for bringing your film to the